welcome to FreeThinker Fireside. We put the human and humanist one cozy chat at a time. My name is Helen, also known as Hell's Bells, and I am going to remind everybody to donate to Cosmic Kyle's GoFundMe because he's going through some shit right now. Just things are a little tight, so I'll share the link a little later during the chat, during the show. I mean. But the chat that I'm having, guys, and that's it. So anyway, now let's say hi to John, Godless engineer, and we're gonna talk about some Christian shit. Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing there, Helen?
Good. How are you doing, honey?
I'm doing pretty good. Just I've been forced back into the office, so like I had office and programming stuff all day, and so now I'm home relaxing and talking about Christian nationalism.
Yay! Can you relax and talk about Christian nationalism at the same time?
Maybe. I mean, it just kind of depends on how you look at it.
Okay, I gotcha. Hi, AJ. Hi, Scott. Hi, Jason. Hi, Caitlin. Welcome to the show. Okay, so you specifically, when I asked what you wanted to talk about, you said you want to talk about creationists and Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you particularly want to talk about the peoples?
Well, yeah. So I feel like the creationist sort of is sort of the fuel to the Christian nationalist fire. If you think about the recent situation with like the Department of Education, as well as the voucher programs and school choice programs that are going around state legislatures, as well as the federal government, all of that is really fueled by a creationist agenda that's been pushed for many years in order to delegitimize like real education in favor of this tearing down of the separation of church and state that we are faced with now.
Yeah, it's so. Here's my kind of I have a thought, and then it forms into a question, and then I have to put the two together. So hold on a second. So, do you think, because we've always had like the separation of church and state, I think we were, got a little complacent a little bit with how influential the Christian nationalists were going to be, and that's human beings are just terrible at that type of stuff. But that being said, do you think because this was such a long-term goal that they think that if they can get everybody on the same page, that's even because even if like they would try to get like everybody to believe in God, that doesn't guarantee Jesus's return. So I don't know if it's some kind of weird sort of mental gymnastics that they're doing to like make their God come back. What's your kind of vibe?
Well, I mean, the way that I take it has always been setting up a Christian theocracy. So it's not really about having Jesus come back or preparing anything for Jesus to come back. I mean, Christian nationalism really isn't about the theology of Christianity, other than what the conservatives can use Christianity in order to force on everybody, not just on Christians. And so what the Christian nationalists do is they use every tool in their little toolbox here, creationism being one of them, in order to secure that theocratic state. And it's really more about the power than it is about anything theologically with Christianity. So like obviously they are creationists. They do think that God created this world and that evolution is bunk and all this other stuff. They do truly believe in that, but their motivations for forcing a theocracy on people is more about power and control than it is about the theology of Christianity.
And I think there's more distinction that needs to be made about that, because I'm sure not just me, but other people can know people that have a belief and religion, but don't believe in Christian nationalism. They can want a pluralist society. So we have to make sure we're making that distinction. But it just, even if it seems, but I think for the people making policy, I think most of it is a grift for, like, the common person. Yeah, and I can't, like, just my, like, the really very extreme right people, um, that, wanna get rid of our civil liberties, like, I think most of them are grifters. I don't, because if they knew anything about the theology, they wouldn't be behaving the way that they do, so that's just my perspective. Um, but my g I guess the gullibility, like, getting into, like, the creationist stuff, of them people, the common people that, haven't been tracking the stuff like we have. And even though, like, I'm educated, I'm sure there's way more rabbit holes we could go on, and there's a lot of stuff we don't know. Um, that I'm worried that, like, because creationists believe such, you know, um, wackadoo stuff, I'm concerned that they're more gullible to listen to, like, a Christian nationalist talk about, we're, ushering the new, this is gonna be a Christian nation so Jesus can come back.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think that the top level, like of this, the Christian nationalists that are the legislature legislators and everything. I definitely believe that they are using this as a grift to not only better their financial situation, but to also better their position as in like a seat of power. And
Right.
so I totally think that they are like basically using I guess the middle to lower class individuals out there that are also Christian and creationist. They're definitely using that to their advantage to retain and improve their positions of power and wealth. And so they're definitely grifting on that particular group of people.
So, so for you, since you've been, kind of, paying a little bit more close attention to this, as far as, this movement, um, why, why do you think creationists are falling for this? Hi, SP.
Uh, Um, well, as far as creationists falling for it, I mean, I think that the middle to lower class, those creationists that are not in the know as far as like the top level of lawmakers and all of those people.
Mhm,
I think that they truly believe in this narrative, in the creationist narrative, and they truly believe that, like, for instance, um, you uh, uh, you can't have a pluralistic society because then God will damn you. I think that they are so helplessly entrenched in the theology of Christianity and the theology of creationism that they are just easily convinced that a theocratic state is the best option, because that's what it was like in the Hebrew Bible. It was a very theocratic state driven. There was
mhm,
no separation of church and state. The church was the state in the Hebrew Bible, and they seek to continue that with the Christian nationalists. They are using creationism in order to fool people into accepting this theocratic and fascistic
mhm.
rule. And I think that it's very easy to fool them into this just because they're so diehard believers. Like they really wholly believe in this particular theology, and because they're diehard believers in this, they're
Mhm.
just easier to convince.
It just, so it's just frustrating. um, so I'm just going to ask you, like, what would be your suggestion that you do for your neighbor that you might live by? That things that theo theocratic. Oh my God, theocratic government is one that they think that they want. Like, how do you give us the, like, you don't actually want this? You think you do, but you don't. Like,
Right. Well, so my suggestion and what I always try to do is I try to just I try to educate people on evolution, what evolution actually is, as opposed to what institutions like the Discovery Institute,
mm,
Answers in Genesis, or the Institute for Creation Research. I really seek to try to educate people on exactly what that is, what evolution is, as opposed to what the propaganda is.
I see. Okay. Um, what do you think is um kind of the biggest hurdle when it comes to creationism, even to get your neighbor to listen to you, like, even about, like, let's talk about evolution. um like, how do we get people to even just listen to that conversation?
Well, I mean, I'm very much in favor of allowing people to come to you and
Mhm.
open up that conversation. I mean, if you're in a conversation with somebody and it drifts to something related to evolution, that can be a really good intro, into the conversation about it. Like if you want to talk about vaccines, and it's like, well, why do they need, a different flu vaccine? What are they putting in the flu vaccines? And they start down this path of like sort of vaccine skepticism. You can use evolution in order to explain how viruses change over time and all this other. They adapt. You can talk about adaptation. So, I mean, there's a lot of avenues, especially with the fact that social media has made everybody like hyper aware, of a lot of social situations that are going on, like in the government and the socio political environment that we find ourselves in. So I think that it can be rather easy to get your friend or neighbor or whoever to start having these kinds of discussions. And I think that people really need to take a look at people like Anthony Magnabosco or any of the street epistemology channels, because those are going to be the best ways to really reach somebody, is having this very street epistemology take on having these conversations. Focus more on asking them questions, get them to differentiate their view versus another view that is similar but different than theirs, and really try to get them to critically think, about their positions.
I I've done that a little bit, off and on. And you can see the moment where the crack happens, but they don't always, like, try to, push the crack open more, but like you can see where they start to have that cognitive dissonance. If you're patient. If you're not patient, it can go bad. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and now, I mean, I would definitely say that I would not, expect anybody to immediately change their opinions or anything like that. I wouldn't focus on changing their opinions immediately, but I would focus on is really trying to help people think more critically about things. And if they start, I've seen this many a times with people that I've interviewed for my own channel, that
Mhm.
typically it's that they've never really critically thought about anything, and once they start critically thinking, it's like they can't stop critically thinking. It's like a new
Right.
pathway in their brain is opened up for them, and they start, it starts with the vaccine skepticism, or just going back to evolution skepticism and all that. It starts there, but then it spreads, and it causes people to think more about the other ideas. They start thinking more critically about other ideas.
I think so too. Like, when people start down this path, um we're not and I think also too, I think there should be a distinction. Like, we're not asking people to like to stop having their beliefs. Like if they still want to believe in God, great. I don't have a problem with that. But you have to. But when you're trying to get them critically think about like evolution, like there's plenty of believers that know evolution is true. Like these aren't, um, these aren't mutually exclusive from each other. I grew up in a house like that. But that being that, with that perspective, having that conversation with some, it's getting them to find like what is the closest to reality. Like because like if you're trying, like I would just push away from God and focus more on like individual issues. I think that might help people open the door a little bit more.
Well, yeah, and so I mean, that's why I was mentioning like the vaccine skepticism or anything like that. You can find different avenues to discuss like evolution or just these more critical scientific topics that are adjacent to that. You can, I feel like you can definitely get them to think critically about those things, and once they start thinking critically about that, it's just sort of like a domino effect.
What was it for you? What was like when you started getting out of religion? Like, what was your little like? I know it's a bunch of different things, but like, what little ping of something was like really started your brain to like, the domino effect?
Um, Honestly, I think that it was being confronted with the idea that maybe I wasn't a true Christian, and it was because I couldn't accept, the Bible from cover to cover. Like
Mhm.
there were a few things that I thought were good in the Bible, and on the whole, I believe the Bible. I just didn't believe like everything that was in the Bible. Um, and so I think that when somebody challenged me on that, and I started really thinking about why I believed in what I believed, and what would that make me now? Like, am I still a Christian or am I something else? Like, it really got me thinking deeper about it and seriously considering, you know, uh, these positions that I had, and coming up with good reasons to believe what I did. And once I did that, once I started looking into that, I was able to sort of deconvert.
That yeah, it's funny you think about that domino effect because I've had it too. And it's just like one little thing, and I'm just like, oh yeah, it's all coming together now. I see it. you know. Um, like for me, it wasn't very upsetting. It was more like I was just kind of slowly I let go of it, and it was and I didn't come to like, but I also didn't have a lot of social consequences either. I didn't suffer financially. I didn't lose my friends and family. So it's a little different. I think depending on, what level of belief you are in your social circles and things like that. Um, so that could be kind of the fear too, that like if you're in that creationist bubble, that fear of being wrong and the
Right.
consequences for being wrong, that can be very, very difficult for people.
Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, it can, but and I'll say that there's a number of there's a number of people that regularly have issues with hell, the concepts of hell, and all that, even after they deconvert. So
mhm,
it's a very serious issue for some people, and I think that that is one of the sort of mechanisms of religion, or at least the Christian religious belief, that tries to, retain people. It tries to retain people by scaring them, you know, uh, scaring them to the point where they don't want to leave. And I think that um, when people start thinking critically about these things, I believe that the hell
mhm,
domino, if you will, is just another domino that's going to fall. So while it may while it may how do I want to put this? While it may prevent them on some level from going full like atheist or whatnot, you can at least get them to think critically about about certain things so that they're at least not supporting a theocratic nation. They may not fully deconvert into an atheist or agnostic or just non-religious person, but you can definitely prevent them from um,
My cat. Sorry.
becoming a theocrat.
Yeah, my cat sees me eating cheese, so now she's being moody. Come on, move, move. Yeah, see, okay. Now I've encouraged it. Sorry about that, guys. What I I mean, I would love for some people to not fall down that rabbit hole, and I just don't think I like. Do I have the patience? No. But if you all have the patience, Godspeed. Because like, to me, well, you have to know where your lane is. I like it in my lane. Like, what recently, like, what particular arguments have you had that you could see someone's little door starting, the first crack in the armor of belief?
Well, typically, I can't name any one particular conversation, um, or well, maybe I can, because there was this guy that called in when I was on with
Mhm.
Jasper Hoffman, and when our first caller was Andrew, and you know, he, I feel like Andrew. I'm not going to try to dress him up too much because I do think that he's a misogynist and he's got some questionable views about young girls. But I definitely
Oh, dude.
saw, yeah, I
Well, so he's
definitely
been listening.
saw,
He's been listening to Matt Walsh.
yeah, I definitely saw some movement in his opinion, at least a little bit, when I was able to like basically use the Bible against him. And so
Mhm.
uh, just sort of setting the scene here, we're deep in this conversation, and he's like fumbling all over the place trying to make it out to be like pedophiles are homosexuals. And we get into this point of the conversation where
Mhm.
he laments about sex workers and how like he wants sex workers to just not exist anymore, and he doesn't want them to be around basically. And so using my encyclopedic knowledge of biblical shit, um, I use that one story in the Gospel of John where the woman caught in adultery is brought out to be stoned by people,
Mhm.
and I use that, and he tries to make it out to be like Jesus was talking like somehow metaphorically, and that changed like the message or something like that. Or no, wait, he was trying to make it out to be like, no, they were literally using stones and they weren't metaphors. And then I was able to convince him like nearly immediately, no, it's both stoning and metaphorical, with the don't cast stones.
My cats. And the other one sat on our alarm clock. So they're just being demons, guys. I apologize. Little fuzzy
uh
demons. Anyway, keep going. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, you're fine. And so like I used that on him, and I got him to kind of see where at least in that position, he was being very judgmental about it and everything. And I don't think that I particularly changed his mind on any one thing that night, but I definitely think that I got him to think a little bit more about throwing those metaphorical stones when his book tells him not to. And so I think that it's like little steps like that we can take to changing people's minds, that can hopefully build a path to more critical thinking. Now, I still think that Andrew is a total misogynist. I think that he's going to continue to be that. Maybe there's no hope for him, but I feel like even if there's no hope for him specifically, there could definitely be hope in that you can better your skills with talking to somebody like that, and maybe one day you can talk to somebody where it will have a
Yeah,
dramatic effect.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just kind of just amazing, though. I think um, I like to say, like, these hills people want to die on for their beliefs, and I think pushing them a little bit to, like, you don't have to die on the hill. You can adjust the height of the hill. You can walk down the hill. You can walk, and if there's more up to go more up the hill. Like, you can take a path. I think that is probably a really good idea to do. Just kind of push that narrative forward a little bit more.
Hmm. No, I totally agree. I think that we should take every opportunity we can
New people are here.
to
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Sorry. There's new people. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Anyway, keep going. Sorry, John. I'm sorry. I just get excited. I love new
No, you're
people.
fine.
It's
Uh,
the ADHD. Okay.
yeah. But I totally think that having these conversations, every chance you get to push scientific literacy, talking about science in various ways, getting people to understand science better. I think that those are going to be worthwhile conversations whenever you can have them.
Yeah, I think so too. So I kind of I want to, now that we talked a little bit about like street epistemology, and thank you, Anthony. Now let's flip back around. Um, so we talked about the micro. How do we put this into the macro when we're fighting an uphill battle right now?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that promoting critical thought and promoting good science is really going to prevent people from voting less scientifically minded people into office, like the Marjorie Taylor Greens and Lauren Boeberts and everything like that are spouting anti-scientific rhetoric. I would hope that people out there, when they have these critical thinking skills and an appreciation for science, what science has done for us, what science says, the process of science, I think that if we can really promote that and get people to see the value in it, then when they hear anti-science rhetoric coming
Mhm.
out of the mouths of legislators, they'll think twice about it, and maybe they'll vote for somebody else. Now, I know that it's a percentages game, right? So I think that even if we can move the needle 3 or 5% or something like that, even 1%, I think is going to be worthwhile. And I think that we need to promote more scientific, thinking, more or better education. Right now, in the macro, we're looking at the destruction of uh, the Department of Education, as well as the defunding of several schools around the country. There's not going to be anybody to enforce the students' rights and being taught equitably, in the classroom. So I mean, we're really fighting an uphill battle at this point, and we have been for the past 40 years. But I think that we just need to we need to keep pushing. We need to keep pressuring, and I think that as long as we keep the pressure up to expect more and better things out of our legislators, I think that we'll eventually get back to a place where we are actually valuing science in our society.
I think accountability is really going to help if we can get people to make them hold to their standards. Um, and also, I think, move your cat. They're everywhere. Anyway, um, that with the kind of pushing, legislators and lawmakers to really look at what they're endorsing. And I know they don't care. Like most legislators and the Christian national, like you and I don't matter. Um, we're only the right color. Everything else, like, so that's it. Um, but I think it's getting those creationists and deep believers to make them understand that these people do not care about you.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
No, I mean, I think that we're in the Republican town halls that have really been going around
Yeah.
that people have been seeing on YouTube and stuff and TikTok. I think that what we're seeing is this heightened awareness of how much bullshit the legislators, especially the Republican legislators, are regurgitating to their base. I think that's really being highlighted right now, and I think that more people are becoming more and more societally aware and economically aware
Mhm.
of what's going on. And I think that eventually we'll get to a point where, if you're a conservative and you're pushing this anti-science rhetoric, you're not gonna be in that final sort of vote. You're not gonna make it past the, what is it, the primaries. You're not gonna make it into the primaries,
Mhm.
or whatever. You're just not gonna be there. And I think that is kind of the goal, is to educate people to the point where that we weed out all these bad actors and non-scientific people. Not that, now I say that tongue in cheek a little bit, because the Republicans have always been sort of anti-science, but I feel like ever since what was it, like 2014, 2015,
Mhm.
um, they've been careening down the hill of anti-science into the swamplands, if you will, of the creationist slosh. And I feel like the more you have people that are aware of how wrong these people are, I think the faster we will weed them out.
I think that is um, probably a really really good approach, because it's daunting, but the more people are putting people's feet to the fire, and also the social media exposure has been great, because I wouldn't know about these town halls if it wasn't for like independent news sources talking about them. So I think that's really really important as well, to pay attention to those things, because then you can show, like, hey, did you see your senator at this town hall talking about blah 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 blah? Like, he wants to like take away your food stamps that you're using to pay your kid. Do you want to hear want to hear what he said?
Well, and
You have to make it personal. You have to make it personal.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's this subreddit called Leopards Eating Faces, I think, or
I
Leopards
love
Ate
that.
My Face or something like that. Yeah. In that subreddit, they're posting all the time about how conservatives are genuinely concerned about the things that Trump is doing, and they're suffering the consequences of their votes, and they're not happy about it. But at the same time, it's like, you did vote this way, like they did choose to elect this person, knowing good and well what he was going to do, because that's what he campaigned on. He campaigned on removing the Department of Education. He campaigned on removing funding from public schools. He campaigned on putting the education back in the hands of the states, which is the problem in the first place. Like, the education, like being in the hands of the state, having the state form the curriculum, have the standards for what it means to teach children in the state, and all this other stuff, that is already in the hands of the state. So if anybody is upset with the state of public schools in America,
Mhm.
you don't need to focus on the federal government and the Department of Education. They're not the ones that are ruining things
Yeah.
necessarily. It's the state legislatures that are ruining your state schools. And people just don't understand that. They think that doing away with the Department of Education is going to make schools better, but it's just going to make things worse, because now students can't
There's no
have
oversight
the
anymore.
yeah, there's no oversight. There's nobody collecting data across all schools across the entire nation. There's nobody there to enforce the equity laws, and equality laws. And so, like, it's just all around. It's kind of like a bad news for children in America, not just because of all the mass shootings that happen, but also because they're going to be educated into ignorance now.
Right. And that's going to be a whole other thing to untangle. Um if things start to progress, or their way they're going to progress. Like I have friends right now that have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Well, no, oh no, she's 4. She's just turning 4. Okay, and they don't want to send their kids to, like, I live in Florida schools, because they're going to suck. They're trying to find a way for their kids to be taught at home, like actual science and math and reading comprehension and how to write and all the things you're supposed to learn in school. They don't want to. They don't want, you know, their children to grow. Like, usually it's the opposite. It's usually the parent pulling their kid out of school because they don't like what's being taught, what's happening. This is, like, no, we don't want our kids in school because the education sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Right. Not only that, but like in Florida, they're desperately trying to make it so that there's no vaccine mandates for schools,
Yeah, I
and that's
love that
just
for us.
gonna that's really gonna put kids in danger. There's already been explosions of different things down there in Florida. Like, I believe there was like 11 people just recently that got put in the hospital for drinking raw milk. And I mean, I think there was maybe up in Massachusetts, there was like a few cases of polio. And like, it's crazy how as soon as you put a crazy ass conspiracy theorist in office, what do you get? An explosion of measles, polio. You're probably going to have a lot of diseases that were thought to have been eradicated are going to come back in force now because we have a conspiracy theorist ahead of the Health and Human Services.
Yeah, so that's going to go great.
I mean, I don't know what you mean. Like, as long as you mean by great, it's going to be like a lot of dead people, because that's probably what's going to happen.
Like, and
But
that's the thing, responsibility there. Like, what?
Sorry, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, I thought you said something. I'm sorry. So I raise my kids, and there's a certain amount of responsibility that you have, but also too, I have a response when I would send my kids into the world. I had responsibility to other people's children. That's why I got my kids vaccinated. Also, the chickenpox vaccine came out when my oldest was born in 2001, and my doctor was like, "Hey, they just came out with the chickenpox vaccine. Do you want it for your child?" And I was like, "Absolutely," because I remembered having chickenpox and it sucked, and I didn't want my kids to go through that. So a little bit of empathy too. Guess what? Vaccines work, and it's just very frustrating when doing the basic things to keep not only my kids safe but other children safe, and other people, because they think vaccines have poison in them. And I'm like, the majority of the people in the populace have vaccines. So what are they dying of? What, like, please, make it correlate. I'm just saying, like, you got to make it correlate, RFK Jr.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he would probably think that correlation is some kind of like democratic vaccine or something that's gonna kill him.
I don't know how he's alive this long. I keep asking myself this question. I'm like, how do you survive, you being you? I mean, you're rich, one, but
well, it really. I watched the congressional hearing that he was in this past week, and it hurt me to hear him breathe, because he was like right up on the mic and he was breathing and he was like,
right?
Yeah, and I was just like, man, he's gonna stop breathing any second now. I just know it.
It's because it's not that. There's not a lot of path for the airway to go. He, like, I don't. This is the thing, like I know we make fun of it because he does have, of his inflection, the way that he speaks is a little annoying, but I'll be willing to forgive that if he wasn't saying such stupid shit that was going to affect us. Like apparently, because I have ADHD and depression. Hi, Brentley, we're going to do this, man. That RFK Jr. thinks that we should go to a camp and hard work and not take medication. And hard work will cure us of ADHD and depression. I don't know how this is going to work. Please explain.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I'm gonna be right there with you, because I've got clinical depression as well as I'm not technically diagnosed just yet with ADHD, but it's like all the signs are there.
Do you know how many people in this fucking space, in our space, are have ADHD or they're on the spectrum? There's some kind of tism. We are a neurodivergent folk here in this community.
Yeah.
I wonder if that there's no I was looking up studies. There's no exact correlation between being neurodivergent and atheist, but because our brains are wired differently, we could be more prone to doing more analytic thinking. So there's that.
Well,
it's not. They think, but there's no hard science yet.
right. Yeah. And I mean, I know at least on my end, I guess when I was growing up, like I was hyper focused in on.
Awesome, honey.
Yay! I was pretty hyper focused in on just I was told this is the way things are, and so it's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. I don't have to worry about that. I can just focus on these other things. And so I didn't think about, whether or not God existed or, if I had good reasons to believe God existed.
So Chris Shelton, the Scientology expert, he was on my channel, I think a couple months ago, because he had mentioned previous this year, we were talking about cult thinking. And he said that people that have ADHD or neurodivergent might be have tendencies to go into cults. And part of it is the hyper focus. He had ADHD, and he talked to other people that grew up in Scientology that had ADHD or autism, and the hyperfixation, and especially if it got you got a bunch of dopamine dumping going on, because that's what stimulates the brain. You could get hyper focused on believing in the cult's beliefs. And also, if you have ADHD, you have perceived rejection dysphoria, so you're a people pleaser because you don't want to be uncomfortable, because you want to make other people feel happy, because you can read their emotions, and you read their emotions as your own. So and he talks about it, he said it's something he's been spitballing as an idea. Then he has his master's in psych, and he wants to do a informal study of it, and maybe get a paper published. He's forming the idea of this. So which I find really fascinating. So what advice would you give someone to not become a Christian nationalist?
Well, I mean,
don't listen to Christians. No, just kidding.
Yeah, precisely. Well, so I mean, typically, whenever I meet somebody that is perfectly fine with Christian nationalism, I usually try to ask them well, what kind of Christianity? I try to really, I guess, talk to them and get them thinking in a position of, well, what if I wasn't in the crowd that's going to be safe in this particular area? What if they start targeting, let's say, some kind of independent fundamentalist Baptist type of Christianity gets put in there, and so we're all forced to be fundamentalists and all this other stuff. It's those that are Christian now that aren't fundamentalists, they're not going to like it so much. They're not going to like the idea that the government won't allow people of different races to get married. They won't like it if they're forced to baptize their children in a certain way that isn't in line with their current denomination. I usually try to attack it, getting them to think about, somebody else, because it seems like that's the big problem for a lot of them out there, is that they either don't care or seem to be unable to consider another person's position in a genuine kind of way. And
Mhm.
so I would really hope that they could consider it in a genuine kind of way. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I just I really think that it's a benefit to at least attempt to get them to think about this from a different person's perspective. But I don't know. It could be good, could be not.
Right. I don't know. Like I mean I would just tell people like don't don't vote against your own interest. Like that's all I can, like maybe like more of a practical approach to it. Like this is like,
Well,
getting
no,
a
but I mean,
conceptual
I don't.
idea of it.
Yeah, well, I don't think that any one tactic is going to be like the
Yeah.
greatest tactic, because like even from that perspective, you have people that are single issue voters. And so like they don't care about any other issue other than insert issue here. So it's like they don't care about anything else other than preventing abortions from happening, or they don't care about anything else other than, you
Low
know,
taxes
um
or
uh sorry, what?
but like low taxes or taking
Yeah.
away rights from queer people or whatever.
Or like in this case, it's like they only care about being able to practice their particular religion or something like that, and their version of Christianity. And so like they will think about just those one thing. So like trying to get them to think about it from a practical point of view, I don't think would necessarily be like the end all be all, because a lot of these people, they only want to, like, they only voted for Trump because they wanted cheaper eggs, but now the eggs don't matter, or they wanted to vote Trump because they wanted to, prevent abortions or something like that. And so like you're going to have voters that are like that. So I guess that's why my first go to is to try to get them to think outside themselves and have a bit of empathy and a bit of humility about
Mhm.
some of these topics. And because it really only seems to hit home for some people when it directly affects them. If it starts to directly affect them, they have a problem with it. And I think that if you can convince somebody about, well, look, if this started affecting you like it would affect them, how would you feel? And I feel like that can be beneficial, at least as a first thing to try. And then you can go, like,
Mm,
depending on the responses, you can go into other different avenues about it. But I think that where you got to start is trying to appeal to their empathy about it. And
yeah.
while a lot of MAGA people out there don't have that kind of empathy, I think that if you can successfully get them to think about, well, what if this happened to me? If you can get them to have that moment, I think that that's the chink in the armor that you can eventually exploit to get into. You can spread that particular crack.
Yeah, and and sometimes it has to go it has to get more concrete for these people because if you've only been taught one way to think, like if you start thinking that, um like women should just be in the home, you know, but they don't really think about why that's a rule and why, why don't we have that if we have to have a two-person workforce, and why do we have that? And why you have to have, there's four people that live in my house. We all work, and everybody has to contribute to the bills and our daily living and entertainment and all the things. It takes a village. I don't think people, like, if you can get them to think about that, and that it's like, is it the fault of the people or is it a fault of the system? It might be the system, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that conservatives have spent a good amount of time crafting the system so that it does take advantage of those people and it keeps them in that position.
I agree. Thank you for coming, Chris. Thank you so much for being dropping in. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm sorry. I like new people, and yay, so I'm in a good mood. Um, yeah, I'm trying to go back. Sorry, I got distracted. It's the ADHD brain. Going back,
That's fine.
but yeah, I think getting them to shift is the work that we have to do. Like, I think that we would love if we could just switch their brain and say, like, please make sure you're voting for the people that are going to give you, you know, healthcare, education, pluralism, safety. Vote for those people. But you're not. But since you're not going to do that, let's start here with this one thing. Let's build. And I know a lot of us don't want to do that. I'm a woman living in the United States in 2025, a queer woman living in the United States 2025. Am I feeling really confident about things right now? No. And I just want to go switch everybody's brain, but I can't.
No, yeah, I totally understand that, and I definitely think that people shouldn't put themselves into situations they're not comfortable with. But if you are comfortable with it, I think that promoting good skeptical thinking as well as critical thinking, and trying
Mhm.
to um, enlighten people on good science as opposed to the faulty science that is normally driven into their heads every Sunday. I think that if we keep up that pressure, I think that we can definitely get people to see things from a better perspective than just self-interested. Like I want this for me, as a and get them thinking more or less like what's better for the country as a whole. Because I think, oh, sorry, hold on, I had something playing on my end. That's my bad. Um, but yeah, I think that getting people to think about what's good for everybody as opposed to just for themselves. I think that we can eventually I guess turn back all of the negative things that have been going on in this administration. I think it'll take a long time to get that to reverse it, but I think that we could if we started pushing that.
Um, and I would like to remind people there is good stuff happening. I know, like that. Yes, the house is on fire. I get that, and people are rearranging the furniture. I get it, but there are positive things happening in the world, in the United States, like grassroots movements, people that are like way smarter than you and me, like lawyers that are in courts every day fighting against this bullshit. So yes, it's an uphill battle, but there is good stuff still happening. So I know it's hard. It sucks. It's not my favorite time. It's not my favorite time of year either. But we're in the worst timeline, guys. Okay, but we gotta do the shit. I'm sorry. Do I want to do the shit? No. I want to go back to when we're debating about when if a God or God does not exist. I want to go back to those days, but I can't.
Yeah, it is really tough getting back to that particular position there because you have so much of the socio-political sort of landscape is intermixed between both Christianity and politics, that it's hard not to just focus on politics,
Yep, totally. Understand all, and it's hard because like religion and politics keep fucking each other, and they won't get out of bed, and they need a divorce because it's hate sex. It's not great. So you really need to stop doing that. Anyway, I know that you have another show to go on. I'm gonna keep the stream going because I'll talk to the chat for another half an hour and hear
Yeah,
what everybody's saying. So, you, on the other hand, where are you going? If people want to follow you over to where you're going, and plug your shit.
yeah. Well, I think that I'm just possibly recording a podcast episode with someone from BajaCon.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think that it's live streamed. It's just on Zoom, so I'm assuming that we're just recording tonight. But yeah, I've been more diligent here lately about putting things on my calendar, and I think that your podcast as well as this podcast, they both kind of got a bit mixed.
I double guess. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, you said this date, and I go, I did, and then I'll be like, Oh, I already scheduled. So move. Do it all the time. I did put a link to your channel in the doobly doo. And do you have anything coming up?
Oh, yeah. Well, so I am gonna be. Hold on, I got my calendar here. Like I said, I've been doing better about this. So this week, I'm gonna be recording some more Holy Spirits stories for October tomorrow night. So that's not gonna be live or anything. I'm just recording with Ben.
I'm doing my
Um,
Halloween episode on Saturday.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do have this weekend. I have a mock debate with Santa
Ooh,
Clarita atheist and freethinkers, and that's going to be there's a Zoom link that you can get. I put a promo for it on my Facebook, but I'll be sure to put it on my social media elsewhere. That you can join via Zoom and you can watch the mock debate there. There's a former apologetics student that I'm going up against, and we're talking about the historical reliability of the Bible, mythicism, and then I think it's the crucifixion, maybe something along the lines of the crucifixion. So I'll be doing that on Saturday. Sunday, Monday, nothing. Then let's see, and then a week from now, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Looks like I don't have anything else until the very next weekend. On the 21st of September, I'm talking to the Baltimore Ethical Society about how to distinguish between scholarship and apologetics.
nice. Very cool. Very, very cool. All right, awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. We'll see each other. We're all in the same freaking circles. Anyway, but thank you so much for being here, and I will bug you later, and I'll probably bug your wife more,
Yeah.
but I will bug
No,
you.
yeah. No, no, yeah, definitely do. Always love hearing from you, Helen.
All right, I
Thank
love
you.
hearing
Thank
from
you
you too.
so Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show tonight.
Absolutely, thank you for being on. I appreciate it. All right, I'll have you on again. I'm gonna
All
have you
right,
on for my anniversary party, so I'll send you an invite.
definitely.
All right, all right, bye, honey.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, honey. Bye, John. Okay, so since John is leaving, and I can fill up airtime because it's my show, I'm just gonna talk. Anyway, this is the first time that I has a very intense debate in my channel about science. If science is real, it's very weird. I don't know how I feel about it. um, I don't like atoms if because I would like to know what is matter made of if it's made of atoms. I have questions. I'm trying to make it make sense, guys, and I don't think that was a good idea. I'm sorry. I know it is hot tub sized. So I should find a way to like position in front of me and just like be like a little kitten in a cup or something like that. So yeah. All right, bye, honey. So yeah, that was an interesting conversation. Like I was interested watching the chat go by. As far as the Christian nationalist stuff is, um, I wanted to touch a little bit more on the creationist aspect because I like guys, you know this. You've heard me say this before. I didn't grow up believing the Earth was 6,000 years old. Like science was not discouraged. Like we grew up, pretty, you know, well educated in science, and now, so when I didn't know about people that only thought the Earth um was only 6 to 10,000 years old until I, started paying attention to secular and atheists and skepticism content. So that to me blew my mind because I was like that no people don't really believe that, and I found out they did, and that's concerning. um, and I worry because we do have a bunch of people that are not well educated in science that I am concerned that since they don't have their science hats on, that these are the type of people that, are going to make the ultimate decisions for the rest of us. And when you don't believe in like actual ways that the world is and exists, and how and even how the process of science works, like I don't know what these people think science is. My only guess is that anything that's against their God. That's the only thing I can think of, because like there's so much other aspects of science. It's like selective science. I guess they only like selective science. But I guess like nature, like abstract, like physical sciences, like that's the type of stuff they're afraid of. I don't know. I'm trying to make it make sense. So yeah. Um, Oh, cool. Yeah, he gets his 2 weeks for little mine get John, my son's coming back for Christmas. So he gets his 2 weeks around that time. So I'm excited. And then he has one more year, and then he's supposed to get a GI Bill. We'll see. Believe it or not feeling super great and confident about that right now. I know, shocking. That was his whole reason for joining, because he wanted to go to school. He wanted to go in the army, and then serve for a little while, and then go to college, because he wanted to get his history degree. I don't know what's going to happen now. Or robotics. I kind of told him to do the engineering robotics thing over the history thing. Will he listen to me? That's debatable. So, because I'm just worried that he'll be. I'm terrible. I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm very concerned. Like it's like I'm laughing at the absurdity of it, but the absurdity is so close to true right now. Like everything's funny to me. So like I just don't want him teaching like a revisionist history. Like I don't think or if he became a historian or whatever. Like, but if he wanted to become a teacher, like, do you get to teach actual history, the stuff that people actually care about, or are you what exactly? You're going, like, are you going to teach, that only white people are the best people? Like, I don't know. I hope not. And please do not take what I said out of that sentence out of context. That would be bad. So don't do that. But it just sounds like I'm trying to make the concept work, guys. Oh, John, your son's a military history encyclopedia. That's cool. Who am I thinking of? Oh, well, but I don't know if you were watching my channel when Will was on. He is also Will Harrell. He is he's also a military historian. Like he's doing it as part of his service, and he's in the army. And he's also a Satanist, and he loves military history. I don't know anything about military history, except like random stuff I might catch on the History Channel or A&E or something. Oh, I like that type of stuff. But mostly it's probably about World War II. So, because the History Channel, I remember the day when the History Channel was documentary about World War II. So there's that. I'm doing the thing where I do every few years, where I dive into World War II stuff, usually about the Nazis. But right now but this time around, I'm actually looking up like grassroots organizations and things people did like below the radar to fight the resistance of the bad people. And it's giving me hope, I guess, because again, insurmountable odds, but there's some cool shit. There was like this nun that used to she would smuggle pieces to make like bombs at the rectory, at the abbey she lived in. It's rectory. Is it abbey? No, a rectory, I think. And abbeys where priests live. So I think it's a rectory or a nunnery. One or the other. I don't know. Sorry. and they were making like these bombs to like fuck up Nazis on the grass level that were like in their town, and also to like because the nuns saw what was happening to their Jewish neighbors, and they were like, "Oh no!" And they started doing like this little tiny like little war effort thing, and I just thought that was really cool. Like these little tiny things people do in groups that fight against like terrible, terrible human beings, and I just think that's great. So I'm trying to focus on even with when you're feeling like the world is shit, I try to remember like, okay, you can still do something. So that's where my brain is lately. So, oh my God, Nightbot, go home, you're drunk. I'm sorry. Nightbot is drunk tonight. Whatever. It's Nightbot's drunk. I'm sorry, guys. I gave Nightbot too much power. We might have to redo Nightbot power. Just saying. How many emotes do we? I have no idea. I don't. You should do a test on Sheer. Do a test. And how many emotes can you do before Nightbot spanks you? That's what we're going to find out. That's the science. That's the science that this show does. So we that would be an experiment. So we would have scienced it. So, right. All right. I'm just babbling. Anybody got any questions for me? Because I want to hang out and talk, but I don't I'm trying to fill up airspace, and I don't have anything interesting going on. Oh, I do actually. Actually, I do have something interesting going on. So, at the end of the month for spooky season, me and my husband are going to go to this Edgar Allan Poe speakeasy. It's a traveling group, but they go to different cities and they do a reading and small performance of 4 Edgar Allan Poe stories, and they're Poe historians. So I'm very excited. And there's like it's like in a little speakeasy, and you get a couple of drinks, and so I'm very excited. So we're gonna do that at the end of the month. So because there's a touring company, we were gonna go last year, but that's right after we moved, so we didn't really get to do anything fun for spooky season. But this year I'm making up for it. So yeah. Oh, did they, John? They come right around the good time down here. They come around like September. So I'm very, very excited. Thank you very much. I probably got delayed before. So is it 4? It's 4, right? I'm going. Is it the 4? Yeah. Oh, it is 4. Okay, good. All right, now we know. That was a good guess, Sean. I'm saving for Michigan Atheists on Saturday for Freaking Fest. Yay! That sounds fun. The only thing about living in Florida is that, well, there's many things about living in Florida, but that this time of year is always more fun when it's fall. Leaves are changing and stuff like that. I lived down here because I didn't want to be with winter, because winter sucks. Sorry if y'all love winter, you northern people. I don't. I lived enough with it growing up, and I don't want to live with it anymore. It snows pretty for like a day, but I miss fall. Miss autumn a lot. That was my favorite season, still is, and it's still hot here. The sun is changing a little bit, which tells me we're heading into fall, but it's still hot as balls. So yeah, but I'm trying to usher it in. I've been wearing my boots and trying to wear more fall, warmer clothes, I guess, because you don't really wear sweaters down here, only if you're cold in your office. Or it might be a little chilly sometimes in the morning. That's about it. I haven't worn a winter jacket in years. Though the first winter when I moved down here in 2005, my mom had to send me her baby pea coat because it was too cold. What does it look like? What does fall look like in Florida? Well, in here, let me tell you, it looks like the same it does in the summer. As except in the fall time, it's more green. So it's kind of the opposite. Like summer into like early fall, we get a lot of rain, so everything is very green and lush. Like my husband can't, mow the lawn fast enough, and everything is blooming. So it's nice because we get our subtropic weather, and it's a good time to garden and all that stuff. But then you get to like summertime, like late fall, and we go into like winter, we don't get enough rain. It gets very dry, so everything turns kind of brown. So and things start to die. So there's that. So to answer your question, it's very green and lush right now, and which helps because I have a lime tree that I got for my birthday, my front yard, and I want it to grow. It's going to take 3 years, but I'm trying to will it faster, because I believe time is just a construct. And if I concentrate hard enough, I can fast forward through time, and I'll have a lime tree. See how that works? Will it work? No. But can I wish for it to work? Yes. I'm going to try to make my wishes come true, basically. Mind over matter. I'll let you know how it goes, guys. I got regular limes. I'm a regular lime person. So I got a regular lime tree. We were going to get mango, but their root systems will fuck up underneath your house and your foundation. So we decided to not get the mango tree, though I really, really want one, but I don't want to fuck up my foundation because of the root system. That would suck. So last year we're pretty safe where me and my husband are for our area. Like technically we were supposed to evacuate, but we didn't. It's partly there's 2 reasons. Okay, there's several reasons. Like we have cats, one, and a snake. So not gonna that would have been a pain in the ass to get out of the house. So those 2. 3. This is a brand. This house was built last year, so it was built in 2024, and that's when we moved into it. And it is all the current hurricane standards, with all the new housing laws and how they're built. That's my house. Milton came through. It was a Cat 4. I could not even. It was the only thing I heard was the rain and the wind, but it was very, very. It wasn't very loud. Like I wasn't frightened or anything. Like you could hear the wind, but But if you had asked me and I didn't know, is there a Category 4 hurricane going on in your backyard, in your yard right now? I would say I have no idea because you wouldn't be able to know. And we didn't lose power. Okay. Let me correct that. We have power pretty much throughout the day, and then the night of the storm, like when they're, 80 plus mile an hour winds and all that crazy stuff. When it came through, we lost power like around 11:30, and then I wake up the next morning and it's like 7:30, and I'm like, my AC's on because I could hear it, and I'm like, so our electricity's on. So we really liked it out, and I also think because this area isn't very developed yet, and there's a lot of natural barrier that are used to these types of storms. The trees and the vine groves and all that type of stuff. Like these trees get this shit. So it's kind of a lot. We also think there's a lot of natural barrier, and we're far enough away from the from the lines that we didn't get any flooding, and also we're on top of a small hill. So I think there were several factors of the fact that we did pretty well with the hurricane. So I'm feeling pretty safe here. Things always change, but like we went through that hurricane fine, and I've been through four hurricanes since moving down here. The year before, I think it was Irma. That one was really scary. We were in our older house, and we got like we had to put up like my poor husband. He put up the hurricane showers, and we had this like our back wall was all these old windows from like the 1950s, and my poor husband is like out there like tearing his hands up like his feet from standing in the because it was starting to rain when he was putting them up, having to hammer through block housing plus like old metal to get them up was torturous, but he got them up. And that one was scary because we could hear the winds, and we lost power, and it was a little scary for a little bit. So I have to say that since moving into the new house, I feel much safer. So I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, it depends where you live in Florida too. Like you have to be kind of picky. Like I don't understand people who keep buying beachfront property because you can't get insurance is so expensive that people can't afford it because the insurance companies don't want to pay for your whole house if we get a cat 4 or 5 hurricane and your house gets swept into the ocean. Like and hurricanes, we're getting more hurricanes more and more every year. So I'm like, I don't understand these people. They want to like, I'm gonna buy a beachfront property. I'm like, are you? Don't do that. Not a good idea. It's a bad idea. So yeah, so I think we fare for us pretty well in hurricanes. So I'm pretty good. Yes, I'm telling you, Scott, I'm going to manifest some limes in my life, and then you people can come visit me, and then I can make you drinks, and I will put my limes in it, and it would be yummy. So bye, Scott. Love you, honey. So yeah, because when I moved down here, I moved down here in 2004 when Chris Christie was governor, and he was a Democrat. It was a really cool, chill place to be. It was right before the recession. But it was fine, and then I've been down here for 21 years, and it's funny. I really do love living in Florida. Like I used to come down here so much when I was a kid, and I would tell my parents that, and they just thought because they're bringing me to Disney. But I said, no, I'm going to live here someday. And now I live here, and I love it here, but I also hate it right now. It's a dual feeling. I'm a lady lizard. I love the heat. I like that I can get out of the house and pretty much all year round. The beach is only like a 10-15 minute drive. There's a lot of different things to do in Florida, and there's some really, really beautiful places in Florida. Like Buck Tower Gardens, which is this beautiful botanical garden on the west coast of Florida. I get blanking on where it is right now, but I highly recommend going if you're ever in that area because it's gorgeous, and we have a lot of natural parks, a lot of wetlands, so some really nice places. And there's really wonderful people that live here. Like there's some real, like I just found out, like when I went to the past couple of No Kings protests, how many old queers live in my city. Where I live in Port Charlotte, tends to be we thought it was a red county. Apparently, there's more people like me here than I thought. So I feel pretty safe here as well. Like you're gonna get assholes, but that's just living in the world. Like people are gonna be butt heads. But as far as Port Charlotte, Florida goes, it's nice. It's a nice place to live. It's just like the wider politics and the policies make things shitty. Because like even if we lived in, even the house wasn't on fire, there would still be people trying to light fires. So, there's that. That never goes away. It's just that those people are, making policy right now. So the house is on fire. Anyway, I am done rambling because I'm tired. And but I do appreciate everybody being here. That is up on my calendar. Let me tell you mofos what's going on. Let's see. That is the wrong calendar. That's my personal calendar. Okay. So James Colbert from Changing Winds is going to be on my podcast on Thursday. He's going to talk about his deconversion story and leaving a cult. Susan Gerbic, I will be on next Tuesday, the 16th at 7 p.m. She's from the Gorilla team of Wikipedia, and she is also a psychic and psychic phenomena investigator and showing how all that is some bullshit. So I highly recommend her. She's wicked smart. And then after that, Rob Palmer from Recovering from Religion, who's friends with Sue. It's Skeptic Week next week. He'll be on that following Thursday, the 17th. So in the meantime, I'll see you all here out on the internet. But if I don't, or you should just do this anyway, stay kind, stay skeptical, give someone a compliment, and I will see you all here on Thursday. See? All right, you're going to see James on Thursday. All right, bye, everybody. Say goodnight. Bye.